In this lesson, we're going to set up two scene states. A scene state is a particular configuration of a 3ds Max scene. For example, one scene state will be for a daylight interior rendering. Then we'll adjust some parameters and configure another scene state to be able to render a nighttime image from the same scene. Let's go ahead and open a file. Click on the Application button, Open. Navigate to the Chapter 13 folder inside the Scenes directory and open the file Chapter 13 Scene States 01.max. This scene is currently configured with a daylight system and a sky portal that provide proper lighting to render an interior daylight scene. We've also configured the exposure control to be set for interior daylight. This is our current scene state that we want to save. In order to do that, let's go to the Tools menu, click on the Manage Scene States option. This opens the Manage Scene States dialog. While there's not much to the dialog, scene states are a very powerful tool within 3ds Max and allow you to modify parameters in your scene and save them to a scene state. Click the Save button. In the Scene State dialog that pops up, type in Daylight in the name type-in. Then in the selected parts list area, make sure all of the parts are highlighted. This will ensure that all of the scene parameters that are able to be saved within a scene state are saved. And when we recall the scene state, those parameters will be returned to their current settings. Click Save to close the dialog and save the current scene state. You should now see Daylight in the Scene States list. That allows you to click on it and recall the scene based on the scene state whenever you need to. Let's change this to a nighttime scene. From the Tools menu, click on the Light Lister option. In the Lights rollout, click the On option for the photometric lights in our scene. This will turn on the photometric lights that are inside the scene already. Now we need to turn off the daylight system and the mental ray sky portal. So go ahead and turn off the Sky 02 and Sun 02, as well as the MR Sky portal. Click Render to render the scene and see the changes that we've made. Pay attention and you'll notice two problems that we have. The first problem is that our exposure is a little dark. Remember that we were originally exposed for a rendering that was lit by daylight. Now we have an interior that's lit by photometric light, so we need to adjust our exposure control. Click on the Rendering menu. From the drop-down, choose Exposure Control. In the Mental Ray Photographic Exposure Control rollout, set the exposure value to 7 and press Enter. This will adjust the exposure of our camera and allow more light into the camera at render time. Go ahead and render the scene again. The second problem you'll notice is that our window is still lit by the daylight. But you're wondering, we shut off the daylight. We did shut off the daylight and the MR Sky portal. However, the physical sky map is still being used for the background. To turn off the map, in the Environment and Effects dialog, go to the Common Parameters of the Environment tab. In the background area, there's an option called Use Maps. Go ahead and uncheck that option. That will cause 3ds Max to use the color for the background as opposed to the map currently in the Environment Map slot. Render the scene one more time. You should notice now that the view out of our window is nighttime and the physical sky map is no longer being used. Go ahead and close all the open dialog boxes. Go to the Tools menu and choose the Manage Scene States option from the drop-down. Now we need to save the current state of our scene. We've made some changes and now we're able to render a nighttime scene. Click Save. In the name type in night. In the selected parts area, make sure that all of the options are selected. Then click Save to close the dialog and save that scene state. Now we have two scene states, daylight and night. Let's restore this scene back to daylight. In the Manage Scene States dialog, click the daylight scene state. Click the Restore button on the right-hand side. In the Restore Scene dialog, make sure all of the parts are highlighted. Then click Restore. Render the camera viewport. You'll see that we have restored the scene so that we're rendering the interior of a sunlit room.